Hi, I'm Troy, and I have been diagnosed with anxiety and depression. In the fall of 2022, after months of dealing with worsening symptoms of anxiety and depression, I made the decision to stop flying and seek treatment for my mental health. That came in the form of medication. And for a pilot, that's a big step because that meant I would be going a long time without flying an airplane. What I realized during that fall as I grew close to the decision to stop flying was that I had been dealing with anxiety and depression for a number of years. And it had always been kind of buzzing in the background of my life in a way that I can manage it from day to day. But that fall, after dealing with some other medical issues, the floor kind of fell out from underneath me. It took a relatively minor medical event to pretty much take all of my life away. At least that's what it felt like. And in a matter of months, I went from feeling okay most of the time to having routine episodes of severe anxiety and depression that left me on the floor of my living room crying and unable to function. And for a long time, I was able to work through this. And by work, I mean like quite literally go to work and fly and not let it affect me when I was at work. But as things got worse, I could no longer separate the two and keep them separate. Keep those kinds of things out of the cockpit. I realized that my career was not worth losing my health for, specifically losing my mental health. I didn't think that living a life of depression and anxiety, of hopelessness, of teetering on the edge of giving up everything was worth the ability to go get in an airplane and fly. But the reverse was true up until that moment when I finally decided this wasn't worth it. But when I made that decision, I was gambling that the system was going to give me my ability to fly back if I got healthy. Decided that health was what I wanted, so I stopped flying, started medication, and in a few months, I felt much, much better. It was the right decision. It's something that I probably should have done many months prior to when I made the decision to do it. But prioritizing my health, and for me that meant prioritizing my mental health over my career, meant that I was actually able to retain everything that I loved in life, my friends, my family, and then eventually my career. While it took a couple of years and some hard work, I did get my medical back. And now when I go back to work, I get to experience my job in a way that I had never experienced my job before, taking care of my mental health. Because my baseline is a much happier person. And when I go to work, I get to see work and experience work as a much happier person. I've got the resilience to work the necessary hours to do this job. I've got the resilience to change time zones, and to come home and still enjoy my life and enjoy all the things that are great about being a pilot. And all those things were a lot more challenging before that. It's a hard lesson to learn, but taking your health and putting it before everything else was the most important and best thing I've ever done. I'm Troy, and I was diagnosed with depression and anxiety.